So what's actually better, guys? Seinen anime manga or shonen manga and anime, right? And it's a lot of battles, right, between these different genres. But I have an appreciation for both because my top favorite seinen manga at least. If I had to list them out like in order, it would be like probably Berserk at the top, then Kingdom, then probably Vagabond, Vinland Saga, um, and then I think Oisumi Pumpun is pretty solid. And then for shonen, my top favorite shonen manga would probably be, of course, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo, One Piece, Attack on Titan is good, right? You know, there's a lot of great shonen series out there, right? And actually, some shonen series that are actually on par with some of the seinens. Now, for me, in my experience, if I have to observe both series, right, one of the strong points about seinen manga, right, is the artwork. Okay, like I'm just telling you guys, if you guys have only read shonen manga and you haven't read any seinen manga like Berserk, Kingdom, Vinland Saga, you guys need to read those mangas because those mangas are insane with the artwork. Like for some reason, the artwork for the shonen side it's not too good. Like I mean, especially Hunter x Hunter. Even though Hunter x Hunter might have like some of the best storytelling of all time and the best power system in anime, it's not the artwork. It doesn't really match. Like even like One Piece, like even I mean maybe Bleach is like probably like really good, like the only really good one. Even Attack on Titan, like see like when it comes to the artwork, I would have to say Seinen is like way better when it comes to the manga, right? And I also noticed that even like the story, right? Some seinen mangas just hit different, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you read Berserk, you're going to really just realize what did I just read? Because by reading Berserk, I didn't realize how powerful a story could actually get. Like, there is no other fictional story that comes even close to something of all like of my top three seinen manga. Like, if you just read Kingdom, if you read Berserk, like Vagabond, like there's nothing that really comes close in fiction. At least like with what I'm aware of, when it comes to storytelling and character development and themes and philosophies and ways of how to view life, morals, right? You know, these are things that are tackled in seinen manga, right? And when you really read those, Berserks, like those great mangas out there, you really come to realize how potent like the best word to explain seinen manga would be it's very potent story that has deep dark themes and meaning and philosophies, whereas with shonen is like it's more exhilarating and fun, right? That's how I would describe shonen, right? Especially with Hunter x Hunter, like even though the Chimera Ant arc got really dark, right, which is probably the darkest it gets in shonen, I think most of the time it's like very fun and joyful, right? Especially with One Piece. Like One Piece is not like. So here's the thing with One Piece. It's hard to compare One Piece with Berserk, because it's a completely different story, right? However, I can actually compare Kingdom manga with One Piece manga because the thing with Kingdom is the structure is the same as One Piece, right? Because they're both very long series. They're both going to have over 1,000 chapters, right? And both of them are not going to end anytime soon. So I can actually compare Kingdom with One Piece because the structure is actually very similar. And I'm always gonna like love One Piece for the nostalgia and for everything it's done, right? One Piece is just like, I'm gonna have a bias towards One Piece just because like I watched it as a kid, right? And I only read Kingdom like recently, right? But both these series are a masterpiece. Like there's nothing that comes like there's these series are like some of the best in like fiction, right? But if I had to compare the storyline, it is very similar with each other. Though I do think with Kingdom, it tackles more potent subjects, like especially with what Kanki does. Like, I mean, guys, if you guys read the Kingdom manga, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like that dude, Kanki is one of the best characters of all time, of all of fiction. I think. Like, I was actually so surprised how good Kanki as a character was, as a side character. He wasn't even the main character. Kanki, like he was when you see his backstory and you see like where he came from. He's some of the most interesting, well written out character like I've ever seen. Like I would even put him on par with like Griffith, Berserk, like Guts, Musashi from Vagabond. Like I didn't think side character could get that good. I was surprised with Kanki because I didn't think Kanki was that much of a. Like I thought, at first they didn't reveal much about him. he was kind of like this badass character that did like a bunch of crimes. But when you actually go deeper into like why he does these things and like what his backstory was, I would say for me, like Honki's my favorite character in Kingdom. At least he's like the best written character so far in that series. Whereas with One Piece, it's more like it's like a super grand story that hasn't it tackles really good themes like discrimination and stuff. But for me, like the way I view One Piece, it's more fun, it's more exhilarating. Whereas with Kingdom, it's like more potent and deep, right? Like the way I view it is like Seinen is more deep, Shonen is more fun and exhilarating, right? So like it's a different type of like a way of telling the story, but they're both good. Like if I were to pick like the best, most fun and exhilarating stories, I'll recommend you One Piece and Hunter x Hunter, right? And JoJo, like especially JoJo, like it's just freaking crazy. Like JoJo's just freaking fun and insane, right? Like there's nothing like you know what I mean. Like you can't really criticize JoJo for being so funny and like all and crazy, right? Like, but it's not as deep as like maybe Berserk, right? You know what I mean? Because Berserk is just like potent and deep on like on an entirely new level when it comes to characters, right? So I think in terms of story and deep in philosophical meanings, I would say Seinen is a little better, right? You know, just I mean, guys, just read the Seinen mangas. They're just so good. Like Vagabond, Vinland Saga, Kingdom, Berserk. Those are like my top 4, right? And those are like some of the best stories I've ever read of all time. But you know, that does not mean that the shonen does not also, you know, have the same level of, you know, masterpiece, but it just does it in a different way. So I do think both genres are good. But if I had to pick one, like, you know, I probably would prefer Seinen in terms of the way it tells a story. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more deep, and you have to be a little bit more mature to understand Seinen, right? Whereas with like when you watch One Piece, you can kind of just watch it as a kid. Like you don't even you to understand like the deep meanings behind One Piece. But the thing with One Piece is that it hasn't ended yet, right? And I assume that One Piece is close to ending, right? And here's the thing: there's a lot of things we don't know about One Piece, right? So I have extremely high expectations for the last quarter of One Piece, basically where it's at right now. It's about to end soon, right? And I'm guessing that Oda has some like gems that he just has prepared because he has all this time to prepare for the ending of One Piece. Like the ending of One Piece better be like on par with Code Geass. Like the ending of Code Geass and the ending of One Piece should be like on par with each other. Okay, like it needs to be at that level. And if One Piece does reach the level that I assume it reaches, I would say it'll surpass Berserk in like maybe some of the same in the manga right now. Like you know, even if like Berserk, like you know, masterpiece, hasn't ended yet, right? So, but I'm assuming that if One Piece ends, right, and assuming Hunter x Hunter too, bro, like, but especially One Piece, I'm assuming that if it ends, bro, like it's gonna be like one of the best stories told of all time. You know, like that's the level that I assume that it reaches. Because remember, we still don't know about like the blank century in One Piece, right? Like that's a lore that like I really want to learn about that Oda hasn't revealed to us. I'm guessing he's gonna reveal to us later on. But you know, regarding like the truth about the world and all that, like Oda could pull like some Attack on Titan stuff, but like actually do it correctly. Because Attack on Titan, like you know, the lore was like insane, right? Like when he revealed like the truth about the world. But I feel like the execution of the ending wasn't like, I think people weren't satisfied about it. So that's why like I think with One Piece it'll be a little bit it'll be executed a little better. You know what I mean? So I do think One Piece has the potential to be some of the best and actually surpass like some of the seinen mangas on my list, right? You know, but like I said, One Piece is not there yet because these chapters aren't published. But I'm guessing with what I expect of One Piece, I do expect for it to reach that level. You know what I mean? But so far, like I'm gonna say Berserk and Kingdom are like my top 2 favorites, right? You know, I think with Vagabond, it's a little bit more slow burn kind of series. Like if you're not mature enough to read Vagabond, you might think it's boring, right? But if you guys just want pure hype, Kingdom manga by far is like the most hype manga like you ever read. Like it's just pure battle, like military warfare. It's just pure warfare, right? It takes place in the China warring states, right? Which is where like they would have all these wars and battles, right? So it's just pure mayhem, right? When it comes to Kingdom, and it's a really hype manga, and it's the type of manga that I recommend you guys binge. Like I wouldn't recommend you guys read Kingdom slowly because Kingdom is way too hype for you to just read slowly. Like Kingdom is the type of manga where you just binge in like a couple weeks. I binged Kingdom I think in like 3 weeks. It took me 3 weeks to read the entire thing and get caught up, right? And bro, it was freaking amazing. And for Berserk, I recommend reading Berserk just to consume like some of the most deep important stories of all time. And Musashi is like the most philosophical story of all time. And Vinland Saga will be like, the development of some of the best protagonists of all time. Because I think Vinland Saga, definitely Thorfinn as a character is definitely like one of the best protagonists of all time. I think like for him, I do appreciate Guts in Musashi, but I feel like when it comes to my favorite protagonist, I would have to say it's Thorfinn. Because nothing comes close to just seeing how Thorfinn went from, you know, a hurt boy that was angry and was violent, and just seeing how peaceful he became. I think that's very moving. That's very touching, right? In terms of how he developed as a character, and it did it correctly. Like it wasn't pulled off like in a way that was unnatural. Like everything about his development was like completely natural and it made sense, right? So that's why I would rank Thorfinn as like one of my best, one of the best protagonists of all time. So yeah, guys. That's like the comparison. There is not one better genre when it comes to seinen and shonen, but I do think that seinen does have some crazy stuff in it, right? And I recommend you guys check it out though.